raise that bar.
That extra gear, the first 3 steps.
Huge strides in the performance.
That I might not be the player I am today.
All right, welcome to another episode of Behind the Gear, and today we're sitting with Sean Walker with iTrain Hockey. And Sean, obviously, we kind of do similar stuff as far as skill development and kind of teaching and things like that. But the reason I kind of reached out to you, and this is, I was telling somebody just the other day, I've never reached out to anybody on Instagram as far as direct message or anything like that. So you're the first guy. So congratulations. I'm 1 for 1 right now, which is great. But I saw, for me, it was more, I was really interested in kind of the story behind iTrain Hockey as far as, here's a guy who, obviously played hockey as a youngster and now all of a sudden, is making a living doing hockey as a full-time gig. And a lot of the guests I've had on the podcast, whether they play in the NHL or they're general manager, or whatever they're doing, or they're just a dad, I'm really kind of curious in the hockey journey, like how this started, how did it all kind of play out. And then obviously, now being in sports for a living is pretty cool. And I know there's a lot of, when I do these podcasts, I think more of that 13, 14-year-old kid that we both were at one point thinking, I want to play in the NHL or I want to play in the NBA or whatever that is. And maybe that's not going to happen because it's hard. But how can I maybe, once you get older, you're like, well, how can I make hockey a living? And I've been fortunate to be able to do it. Same with you. So where did this whole thing begin? So where's Sean Walker from?
Yeah, good question. So I'm from Brampton. So grew up north end of Brampton. And I guess the whole story started when I was younger. Just as you said, every kid a good Canadian boy wants to grow up playing the NHL. So I had a buddy. I think I started when I was like 6 years old skating and playing. And I had a buddy who I went to school with who was like an amazing hockey player, played in Brampton as like a AAA player. And I remember going to see him play one of his games. And he came to my birthday like a month later, apparently, is what the story is. And he gave me like a Don Cherry's Rock'em Sock'em video. And like since then, it like became like my one and only video that I would watch when things were on VHS at the time.
Yeah, for sure.
And I like just got obsessed. I got hooked with it. And then my parents' driveway turned into just any NHL hockey rink. So I just remember like closing my eyes and like pretending to pass the puck to Messier to Gretzky to Walker and that old thing. So I'm sure everyone that's played hockey and wanted to play in the NHL has that same sort of journey. It seems like there's not as many kids playing, unfortunately, street hockey, but that was my thing. That was my outlet. And before school, after school, just complete obsession with it. I'd get home from practice and like be back on the street. So I was playing with a tennis ball when I should have been playing with a puck. I don't think we had synthetic ice boards at that time. Otherwise, my shot would be harder than it is, I think. Maybe my stick handling would be a bit better. But and then I played AAA growing up in Brampton for most of my life. Did like a small climb from, they have in Brampton inner city, house league, then inner city. Now they have select groups, A, AA, AAA. Yeah. And so it went from inner city to AAA really quickly. And then I just stayed in AAA for pretty much the entire time and just made like the best friends, my like best buddies growing up. And then as of maybe 13, 14, a lot of those friends, we got like a winter job, Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings in Brampton teaching like 3, 4, 5-year-olds.
Yeah, the good guy, the good stuff. Yeah. In the trenches, we call it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You're just mainly picking up little kids, wrecking your low back. Yeah. And that was all good stuff. Actually, I haven't thought about that stuff in a while. So it's just like interesting replaying.
It's interesting when you go back, like last night, actually, I was on the ice with like 4 or 5-year-olds, just little kids. And I love it because it's a different mindset. It's just having fun. Yeah. Hopefully they enjoy being on the ice, not even the hocky game, just being on the ice. Dives exactly. Right. Yeah, totally. And I think to me, that's the fun part, right? Is getting these young kids involved and just make sure they have fun. You still have your crazy dads that want them to side stop and they can't, stand up yet, but we'll get to that. But it's so going back to kind of being 13, 14, 15, helping these young kids out. It gives you kind of a good introduction to like being a coach, being on the other side of on the other side of it. So from there, did you kind of get into coaching or I guess skill stuff?
I didn't stop from there. So it was like every weekend we would do that. We'd be playing. Me and my buddies would be obviously playing throughout the week. and practicing nearly every day. And then Saturday, Sunday mornings, we'd be out there with the kids in the grind, in the trenches. So yeah, it was fun. And then that turned into maybe some of the trainers at that hockey school were a little bit older than me. And I became friends with them, obviously. And they got me a job pretty soon at like maybe 15 or 16 at Varsity Hockey School in Brampton. That's a pretty popular training center there. And yeah, like really quickly, I remember the one time that I was always a support instructor to a lead trainer at team practices or whatever. And I remember the one time where one guy just didn't show up for a lesson. So
thrown to the wolves.
Yeah. So I showed up and I had to lead instruct the lesson. And then like since then I was like, oh no, this is like way more fun instead of being the support guy. And I started my own hockey school after working there. I probably collected, they had just opened up their training center pretty soon after. So I was between like say 19 to 21, 22, where I was working there full time Monday through Friday, just trying to collect as much money as I could. And so I'd be working private lessons at like 3 and then like 3 or 4 or 5 team lessons. And so, you know, like the 1,000 hour or 10,000 hour rule and such, like I'm sure I've easily collected that, but specifically in youth hockey. So I wish it was just in hockey in general. But it was youth hockey training instead. So I got really good at it and then started my own hockey school once I knew that someone that I was dating at the time we had our first child. And so I thought, okay, I got to be making more money than what I am if I'm going to be supporting a family.
Like a fun hockey guy to a dad. Exactly. Wait a sec, this really changes everything. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So I had to make a bigger paycheck. So I started my own thing. And since then, it's been great.
Cool.
Making a lot more money and
enjoying what you do probably, right? Which is huge. Yeah. Cause I mean, at that turning point, I mean, anybody who has a child, you know, whenever, it doesn't matter when it is, it's like, things get real. And if you're not locked into your profession or whatever it is, like you could easily went another way and just got a job doing sales or something like that. I think it also, like, having done it myself as well and kind of starting from scratch, it's not easy, man. And I'm sure the first couple of years, like, what am I doing? This is ridiculous.
Parenting?
We can get into that because that's completely, that's off the rails. I would way rather like shovel ditches than go through not knowing how to parent. Cause it's like, that's like the biggest unknown as far as when you first have a child, like, what are we doing here? You know? But even like getting into like starting your own business and starting your own hockey school, it's not, everyone thinks, I mean, I'm sure you have this happen to you too, especially when you first started, some dad comes up, it's like 30 kids on the ice, 3 instructors, ice is this much. Oh, you're making so much money. Like, dude, I've been setting this up for 6 months. I've been working in my basement. Like, I'm not, if I go my hourly rate, I made no money, you know?
Yeah, good call.
And I think it's a grind, right? And to be able to stick through it, you've done it for a long time, but being able to stick through it for years is huge, you know? And obviously you've kind of shifted a little bit to more of the online, which I think is awesome. And that's kind of where I think society's gone a little bit, right? Is more online teaching. And obviously there's still the hands-on stuff, but you know, if you can do it where you can hit more people and teach more people how to teach skill or do drills and things like that, I think it's huge, obviously. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, just as you said, we were talking a little bit before, but how golf and many other sports in general have like really tapped into the online market, and hockey maybe not so much so. And so like it's definitely hockey's time. If a golfer can be, you know, just on the tee teaching all of the different swings and then get on the course and teach game management and like put that on video and like dissect it so much so to like every subtle little detail of your swing, then I think hockey with just a slap shot, you know, you could do the same wrist shot, wrist snap shot, backhands, and then that besides shooting, there's like just so many skills components, sticking, body checking, skating, just like hockey's. I always say this, but hockey's I think we're the best athletes.
Well, no, and I mean, other athletes might get pissed off about it, but I think at the end of the day, I would agree, like you're skating on knife blades and you're going fast. There's a lot of speed. So there's a lot of body control. And I don't know, you know, in your experience, I feel that some of the best players I've had an opportunity to work with at higher levels are the unreal athletes. If you give them a soccer ball, they can play soccer. You give them basketball, they'll figure it out. You know, and I think a lot of times, you know, especially now with all the talk about it, is hockey players are getting too specific too early. And I agree. I think that they should be athletic. I mean, when you grew up, I'm sure you played multiple sports. When I grew up, I played as many sports as I could. I loved it. You know,
what did you play?
I played, believe it or not, because I'm about 6'5", but no, I played basketball. Like, in high school, right? Small town in Sudbury, so I played basketball. I played soccer. Did cross country running. I did track and field.
Nice.
Did a bunch of stuff growing up. Well, tried. Tried. A lot of it was like, to me, to be honest with you, like I started hockey late. I started when I was 9. So moved into a neighborhood, kind of met a guy like you who plays ball hockey all the time, started playing ball hockey. It was terrible. Went home. My dad bugged me every year to play hockey. Like, Dwayne, my younger brother, a year younger. Like, you guys want to play? Like, no. You want to play? No. We move, come home one day, like, Dad, I think we want to play hockey. Like, I think before the Y came out of hockey, we were both like grabbed by the back of the neck, thrown in the truck, down to Play It Again Sports, bought gear. And then we're on the ice, the next day type thing. And terrible. I couldn't skate, nothing. So my mom actually, this is terrible because I should have been in hockey when I was young. My mom she's a figure skater a little bit and taught power skating in Sudbury. So she brought us out to one of the programs with other coaches to teach us. And that was how I fell in love with hockey. When I learned how to skate, I was like, oh my God, okay, it's so much easier, right?
Yeah.
And then, I just fell in love with it and kind of kept going on with it. But for me, any other sport that I did, like soccer or basketball or whatever, it was all cross training for me.
Yes.
Like, I love the sport. I love playing other sports. I still do. But at that time, when I started getting into hockey, it was like I did basketball because practices were hard. We had to do shuttle runs all the time. That's going to help me with hockey.
Yeah.
Soccer, a lot of running. Our practices were hard. That'll help me with hockey.
Right.
Cross country running, same thing. Like, there's a lot of things I did just to like get me better at hockey, hopefully,
Right.
So what other sports did you play growing up?
That's awesome, man. That's a good story. I would love to have just a mom who is like a figure skater. Could have shown me how to do it.
I feel bad saying that because I didn't start till I was 9. It was like, man, I had all the resources right there. I didn't want to do it.
No, my son, my first son is into basketball. So like that was my second sport growing up.
Cool.
And as much as I tried to push hockey, he got into it a little bit. He likes skating. He loves pleasure skating.
Yeah, cool.
He's a good skater. But beyond that, he's like, nah, it's too rough or, whatever.
Yeah.
But basketball, cross country, badminton in high school, volleyball, like just anything.
Yeah,
absolutely
for sure,
every
right?
sport. We play recess football growing up, and like that was our big thing.
Couple tiers in recess football?
No, never.
Because back then too, though,
I'd be making the other guys cry.
No, for sure. No. I mean, in general, but back then, remember playing recess back then? It was like you could throw snowballs, you could go tackle guys, you could play on the big snow pile that was out there. Now, like, kids can't do anything, like, none of that stuff. But I remember growing up, like doing, you're just savages on the playground, right?
Yeah, you were telling the supply teacher, like, it's two-hand touch. And when she was out of vision, exactly, you're tackling each other.
Yeah, for sure. So now, kind of, as far as playing and stuff like that, playing AAA, and when you look at hockey, when you play now, you're a little bit younger than I am, but how different was the practices and the skill stuff that kind of you guys were doing then to what you're doing with teams now and stuff? Like, how different was that?
Yeah, not even just that, but like the coaching. So like a lot of the coaches at that time were like parents and just volunteering their time. And it wasn't until maybe 13, 14 years old where some other guys who were just really into hockey would come and they would coach us. So before that, you're right. The drills were, suicides were a normal thing at like every practice when I don't think I've ever done that drill, really. If it's to improve conditioning, if I'm going to do it, but it's not going to be for 20 minutes.
No, you're right. Though. That was like part of not that any of our coaches have practice plans, but that would have been on the practice plan for sure, man. Yeah.
So now anytime that I do that, just in reference to suicides, I like tell the kids, I'm like, you're not in trouble. Like, it's okay. But we're going to do some suicides because it's great for us. But you're not in trouble, So my very last coach, minor midget year, he was fantastic. By that time, there's a lot of guys. There's only one or two guys of our age group that ended up getting drafted or moving on to junior A at that age. And there was a bunch of us that ended up staying and stayed AAA, and it was like our last year of youth hockey. So we had this one coach, Nick Martins, and a lot of the philosophy that I have, I'm pretty sure I'm doing exactly what I'm doing now, mainly because of him. He had such a great poise with, like, just a great personality with the kids and with us. And he was just like the ultimate coach. So like now I define it with like within iTrain hockey, he was like a tactician, knew the X's and O's, could teach us, like all of us became such a better player in that 1 year because of these things. But he was a tactician, He was a player's coach, could like get down to your level. He was funny. He'd like swear in the dressing room with us since we were older, and like, you know, not too inappropriately, but like, you know, you get that rapport and such. Disciplinarian. He'd like, whenever, you know, you tried stepping up or like challenging him a little bit, he'd give and take a little bit, but you know, he asked so much out of you, and then you were able to, because you just respected him so much, you were able to give as much as what you needed to. Kind of squeezed everything out of you. What was the other one? Tactician, player's coach, disciplinarian. What is the other one?
I'm sure there's like maybe like a little bit of fun in there.
Fun is like, okay, sorry, yes, yeah. So good call, yeah. So that's one that I've kind of added into it. But yeah, fun. And I'm trying to think of what the heck the other one is. Anyways, it'll come back to me.
But one thing you mentioned there is, and I think there's, you know, this may sound old school, but I think there's an effectiveness to swearing once in a while around kids, not young kids, but like, you know, midget, you're 15, you know, 14, 15, 16. But there is like you know, if you're not doing it all the time, if it's overkill, it's done. It's ridiculous, and it's kind of a waste of language. But I think, you know, when a coach is a good guy and all of a sudden he throws an F-bomb in the locker room, it's like, everyone just kind of perks up. I go, wow, you know. And I think there is, you know, and I'll be honest, like I use that once in a while. I use that as a tactic sometimes to like get my point across, and I'm serious, and you need to wake up, and this is, you know, and I don't go up and down a kid and swear up and down on them. But what I find I always tell kids, if I'm working with a kid who wants to play A hockey, no problem. But I'm going to treat that A hockey player a lot differently than the kid that tells me he wants to play AAA. And he's super dedicated to the game. Then that's going to be a different conversation and a different push and a different way of teaching that not necessarily teaching, but different way of motivating that player and keeping that player on task, you know, and dealing with a bunch of midgets like you guys that were all obviously motivated. To have a strong coach like that is massive, and you don't find them a lot.
You
know?
Yeah, exactly. I remember the other one. It says motivator. It's like just a motivator. So with like all of those things, if you could be all five of those things at once, you know, you just become like just an inspiration for the kids, right? So yeah, you're completely right. I think I've used the F-bomb maybe once or twice.
Oh, you gotta try it out. It's awesome. It feels so good too. Feels so good. Especially when you're hot and you're mad with something, you just like, you don't want to go off. And I'm a type of coach on the ice that if you did something wrong and I'm mad about it, or you mess a drill up or something like that, I may give it to you, or maybe you mess a drill up 4 times in a row, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I'll go at you, and maybe I don't swear or anything, but I'm at you, and I'll give it to you. But that's it. I do not hold grudges, because I played with coaches that hold grudges where the whole practice you feel like he's just on you because you messed up a drill in the first drill or messed up something in the first drill. And I tell all the players, I'm like, the next rep you do, if it's good, I'm like, hey, good job. That was awesome. Good job. Walks. Awesome. Right.
Nice.
But you know, I never hold grudges, but I'm very like, especially if I'm dealing with more elite players, whether they're Bantam or Pee-wee or midget, doesn't matter, but hold them accountable. And then I let it go. It's done. It's over. And the one thing I try never to do, and you know, this having kids and wife and stuff like that, is I don't bring my home to the rink. And we've all played for coaches where they come in, you're like, oh, Coach Johnny's hot today. He's mad, right? It's like he didn't even say hi to anybody. And then the next day he comes in, he's like, "Hey boys, what's going on?" Like, so like that that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I just like I hate that. So try to be as level as I can all the time. And
well said.
We have bad days. You have bad days, but I think it's important for the kids though. They're not there. They don't care if your wife hates you. They don't care if your kid like puked in the back of your car. Like it means nothing to them. They're just there to have fun and play hockey. So don't bring your mess to the rink. You know.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, even just watching like your demeanor on the videos and stuff like that, it's, you know, obviously you like what you do. And I think, you know, kind of that presence a little bit on there where you've got knowledge of what you're doing. And, you know, I think the delivery is important too, because the one example I use all the time is like the J drill, which is probably the most abused drill in hockey, right? Everyone runs the J drill. You go to any minor hockey practice, there's kids going around the circle getting a pass. And the J drill is not a bad drill, but you can go out and run the J drill and knock it out of the park, and I can go and run the same drill and just be saltine crackers, like just complete boring. But it's all how you deliver it, the key concepts, and maybe add a couple features to it. And I think for coaches, it's like going to the rink with that creativity and trying to learn. Like, and how do you learn? Like the internet, there's Google, there's YouTube, there's millions of videos out there of stuff you can steal and you can use and you can, you know, try to make better, you know. And I think I think that's important. And so when I hear about like having a coach like you had in midget, I think, it's awesome. Like that to me is refreshing. You know, it's because it's lacking. Whether it's Brampton or London or anywhere, it's lacking having those coaches that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think I maybe need to focus more. I'm focusing so much on the videos of player skills in tutorial videos and you know, a lot of the members that we do get on the website are coaches, and they're looking for those sort of tactics. And there's been a lot of really nice comments that I get from people or messages, and they say, yeah, like I really like your style of like your pedagogy, your style of instructing. And yeah, that's always nice. It's like, if there's one thing that I get from parents, nice compliment, is just the way that I communicate with the kids. Yeah. And I think it's just because I've been around kids so much. Yeah. That like I'm just as comfortable, if not even more so, talking to any younger child than as I am to like an adult. Yeah. Things are more real, and you can get down to their level and become a kid yourself, and then turn it up and say, okay, like, you know, now you're going to be the enforcer for whatever particular skill that you're teaching. Or
totally, yeah. So, yeah. I think it's also something to be said about having been in those skates at one point in your life, right? Where you were the kid on the other side of that with maybe a coach who had no idea what he was doing, or a coach that's wearing jeans on the ice and just got home from the office and has no clue what he's doing on the ice, right? To it. Yeah, and I think that's one thing that this kid that's 13 didn't mean to miss the pass. He didn't mean to mess the drill up. Right. He's just not paying attention. Yeah. So let's give him a little kick in the ass and make sure he's ready and knows what's going on. You know,
it's so good that you're aware of that. Like,
because even like I tell coaches all the time, but like hockey's hard. Like go play men's league. You're going to turn pucks over. You're going to miss your shots. Like it's hard, man. So now you add like a little bit more of a higher level than maybe what we play now with men's league. But you know, you got a kid who's in minor midget who's playing an intense game. Like they're going to make mistakes. Right. Yeah. And you know, I think as a coach, you got to realize that, yeah, man, like mistakes are going to happen. It's it's part of the game, and let's move on. Yeah. You know, now if that mistake continues and continues and continues, then we got issues. There's other ways to get around that and make sure that we, as a coach, that we help correct that. But at the end of the day, like mistakes are going to happen, and we got to keep moving forward off it and not dwell on it.
New tactics. Like if this tactic didn't work they weren't receptive to it, then find another tactic and, figure out what works with them. And so you got to be able to communicate with a bunch of different personality types. And yeah, I like that. It was a really good definition of a coach once. It was just like, the best kind of coach is one that like asks more out of you than you would ask out of yourself, I think is what it is. Yeah. And like finding a way to do that with, again, a bunch of different personality types, a bunch of different styles of hockey players. And like, if you can do that with all of them, then yeah, that's a good skill to have.
For sure. Mm-hmm. And being able to push players like to get more out of themselves than they would think is, I think is, and I'm butchering your quote, but I think that's exactly. And the one thing I notice now with our youth, I guess, and I'm partly responsible. I've got young kids, so I blame the parents on this, but I don't think our kids know how to really work that hard. Like a lot of kids, but prime example is the beep test. Remember the beep test in high school where you 20 yards apart or whatever it was, you had to run, hit the beeps and try to get to whatever level you can. Right. If you went out right now and grabbed the team, it's okay, we're going to do the beep test. Most of them know what that is. And you'd be amazed at how many kids would drop out at level 7 when they could get to 10. Just their heart starts pounding a bit. They're sweating. It feels uncomfortable, which it does. It sucks. They just quit. Yeah. But to me, the beep test isn't about fitness. Yeah, it helps, obviously. But to me, it's like mentally gutting it out. Mm-hmm. If you can only get to 4, but man, you could push to 5. That's amazing. If you can get to 12 and push to 14, that's unbelievable. But to me, it's like that mental gutting it out and pushing. And it's not necessarily hockey. I think it's life. Yeah. You've gone through some crappy stuff. I've gone through crappy stuff. Everyone's gone through some crappy, but how do you come out of that? And when, however you kind of formulate in your mind how you're going to do it, whether it's having that voice in your head that's telling telling you that you're soft and you got to keep going, whatever that is, I think that's huge for our young kids to figure that out. So you say suicides. Well, totally. This isn't a punishment, but let's see how hard you guys can go. Yeah. Right. Let's see you can stop at each line and get back to the goal line and stop at the next line and get back. And who's going to quit? Right. And I think that's another like zero skill involved really, aside from being mentally tough, which I guess would be another skill. Yeah. But trying to implement that with some of the youth as well, just to get them to push forward a little bit more,
Good call. I feel like I'm learning more from you today than I was going to this thing. Yep, I'm going to be the guy, and let's. But teach.
I mean, you talked about something earlier. Like you started teaching at 13, 14, which is amazing. And I was fortunate. Same thing. I was probably on the ice as like a counselor in training at like 13, 14. Same thing. But man, you've spent probably over 10,000 hours running drills, running practices, doing skill stuff. So if I said right now, hey, Sean, I want you to come out with my team tonight. I want you to run a session on just crossovers, shooting, and a bunch of passing. You probably wouldn't even have to create a board and write it down. You'd be like, yeah, no problem. Show up and assess the group in the first 5-6 minutes, be like, okay, and then just go to the board, start drawing drills out. Like, you know, and we got young coaches that come to us now and start working for us, and they're like, where's the practice plan? I'm like, oh, I don't have one.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, well, no, I just follow what I'm doing. This is what we're gonna do first, second, third, or whatever. And halfway through the practice, like, okay, they can't do this, so we're tweaking this.
So we're gonna tweak,
You know, but that is, you and I talk about this is like super easy, no problem. But some other coach, like, I need a practice plan, and I get that. But I also couldn't go into a financial institute right now and like download a bunch of numbers and like tell you what stocks to pick. Like, I have no idea where somebody in that industry is like on it, you know? So it's something like you spend so much time doing this that it's just second nature. It's just kind of what you do, you know?
Right.
And I think that's important for some of these coaches. Not that anyone has to spend as much time in the grinder as we have, as far as being in the rinks and like minor hockey stuff and that, but just use resources. You know, reach out to guys like you or guys like me or guys whoever, you know, or go on the internet. And there's no reason right now for any coach to be bad. There's no reason to go to a practice and see 3 drills and then scrimmage.
I like that.
There's no reason. Like, and that's my big thing with like what I do and kind of even what you do. Like, how do we influence these coaches? How do we help these coaches become better? And for me, it's more the most important coaches right now are the coaches that are on the ice with the IPs, the little like 5-6-year-olds, because hopefully that dad or that mom is going to coach these kids for another 3-4 years or be involved somehow. And man, if they can learn how to teach a side stop properly and teach how to shoot a puck properly, then that kid's going to be better. And then, you know, that just kind of escalates and keeps moving on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you, with the program that you have and stuff like that, do you kind of consult or work with any minor hockey associations or any kind of coaches one-on-one or anything like that?
Yeah, I used to quite a bit. So my day-to-day since last year, this past year, I'm just focusing mainly on the video memberships and just training. I'm in front of a video camera more than I am in front of kids these days, but that's okay. So what I do is I've always done these training intensives where it's like 1 hour of one skill. And I don't know why this is like a message to like any coaches or trainers, like pick up on the training intensive idea. There's so many practices that I see that are focused on skating skills, and we're going to throw in some stick handling. We're going to throw in this, when maybe that might be beneficial at like a team practice, and you can have some diversity amongst your skills. But and just as you said, adapt along the way. But the training intensive model is, so like last night I ran a backwards skating training intensive, and there's like maybe 20 kids on the ice and a couple trainers, and all we did was just focus on backwards skating for 50 minutes. And the message that I gave to the kids was, okay, called them in. Our focus today is we're going to have as much fun as we possibly can. And the second thing is we're going to get so bloody good at our backwards skating. And half of you guys, even if you don't try, you're going to get this much better
for sure.
at your backward skating, even if you don't try. But if you all like really give me your effort today, and like if I say 10 things, listen to all of those 10 things instead of maybe 8 or 9 and missing 1 or 2 points, then, and work as hard as you can. It's only 50 minutes. Then you're going to not get, you know, 1 time better. You're going to get twice as good as what you could. And it was true. And like by the end of the hour, I asked the kids, so like, was that message that I gave, was that right or not at the end of the practice? And they're all like, yeah, absolutely. They all worked their asses off and they got so much better.
That's cool.
And and then the week prior, I think I did like wrist shots. So it's just like wrist shots for an hour. And if you just focus on those one skills, you know, that one skill at a time, then there's just so much skill development so quickly. And it's got to be a fast practice plan. There's got to be you got to know your teaching points and what you're going to say for sure. But just as you said, all of that's kind of like in my brain, and it's just like natural. I can spit it out. I've got my sayings, and I know.
You've got your lingo on the ice, and for sure, And I think that's one thing I like about doing what we do is that really, if you're teaching a wrist shot, you can't go off the mark too much on teaching a wrist shot. I mean, right? But everyone's gonna have their own flavor, their own key teaching points that they like. How do they like to emphasize on, right? And I think it is important for the kids to understand that. Now, in that hour, though, if you look back on it from like minute 1 to minute 50, how much different were some of those kids?
Oh yeah, huge.
Because even being able to focus, like you said, like this is hard for coaches. So you know, a coach wouldn't be able to say, well, we got 70 practices this year and 30 of them I'm going to spend on one skill for those each 30 practices. That's a tough one, right? But man, if you do get a chance to go to something like that where you're just focusing on edging for 1 hour, that's even for 5 hours. If you had a progressive that was 5 hours long, like you can do so much stuff with edging. You could add pucks to it and stuff, but it's unbelievable how much better kids get. So going back to my original question, but like, you know, what was the feedback, first of all, from the kids, and what was the feedback from some of the parents after that 50 minutes?
Yeah, it's always positive. It's always great. I think a lot of the parents really appreciate how I communicate, and the kids the same thing. It's just like you build that rapport, that player coach sort of style. I'll like get into the dressing room with them and ask them, you know, take my skates off with them and just talk hockey. Or I try to leave like whatever we just did out on the ice, but I'll ask them, hey, you know, how'd you guys do? Everyone's sweating. All right, great. That's good. And then maybe we'll talk about what's going on in the NHL or something like that. But yeah, it's always positive. It's always really nice. So I think what's really important too is like, I remember just the one kid that I was teaching last night, backwards crossovers. Instead of crossing his leg in front, he was trying to cross his leg behind. And he was like a 12-year-old kid. So he just never received that type of teaching. And I guarantee by the end of the hour, he definitely felt like he was better. But once he like sleeps, gets like a good rest, and he'll like process it a little bit more and digest everything that I had said. I think because I was like really engaging, like I engaged the kids. It's like intense Sean Walker for an hour. Then, you know, I'll be in his mind hopefully for the next day or two. And the next time that he's out on the ice, he's like all of those key points that maybe he might have thought he might have forgotten. He's like, oh, okay, those will all kind of come back. And then, you know, if I see him again and he comes to another backwards skating intensive, you know, you'll see like all this, you know, progressive improvement over time. And it's a lot quicker than I think of just having like a really broad practice plan. But,
for sure.
But yeah, your question about team lessons and private lessons, I've been doing those for a long time as well too. I love private lessons because then there's just it's such a great benefit to the one kid, right? The one player. And I miss doing those. I don't do them so much anymore just because I just don't have the time, and it's a little bit lower of a rate than if I did like a team lesson or run a camp or a training intensive. But yeah, there's nothing better than connecting with a kid and just working on that. Instead of watching 15 or 20 kids, you just like focused in on one. So there's nothing better for sure. Team lessons, I love doing that. Group environment, pumping them up. I make myself a part of their team and kind of like intrude the space a little bit. And they appreciate it. They know that I'm there for like team success and team improvement. Love working with girls teams. They're just like eyes and ears, fully paying attention.
So different.
Yeah. And I mean, guys can be too. But there's always a few.
No, guys are like hitting each other with sticks in the corner.
There's always a bit of that.
Girls are so much more dialed in overall. It's unbelievable. Like anyone who's gone from girls to guys hockey or back and forth, like they're a pleasure.
They're a pleasure.
Sometimes.
Yeah, they're a pleasure.
Like,
it's so enjoyable.
Thank you. That was really good. Because I just had a boys group before and they were complete, off the charts, right? One thing that you did say though, and I think this is really, really important for parents to understand and coaches too, but when you are delivering, let's say an intensive or doing a private lesson, or the kids going to a shooting place, off ice shooting stuff, which is totally fine, or a skating treadmill, whatever it is, taking those key teaching points. Cause I always tell players, like, I can't make you better. Like I can tell you what to do to get better, but you got to apply it. I'm going to show you how your feet move. I'm going to show you where your weight should be. I'm going to do all that stuff, but you're the one who's got to do it. And when you leave this session, you got to think about it. So when you're on the ice for practice, I tell them, don't worry about it in a game. You want the stuff to become instinctive. So I don't expect you to be like going around the net being like, oh yeah, 2 pushes. Okay, great. Right. But I do expect you in practice to be like skating laps and thinking about what you're doing on your crossovers or whatever you're doing. But man, the more they can think about it, to your point, the better they're going to get. And that's where I see kids like make those strides and those jumps is like going to do lessons, which is awesome. And then taking what they've learned from that lesson and then applying it, next week, the week after, maybe coming back and working with you again. And, and a lot of parents tell me like, well, how many lessons, I'm sure you've had this, like, how many lessons does it take for my kid to become a better skater? Well, I don't, how many piano lessons does it take to be good? Your whole life, maybe he's probably never going to get there, but we can help get him better for sure, or her better. But it's something that I think like even power skating, whatever it is, I think you touch on that all the time as much as you can. You get with somebody that can help you with just tweak your stride a little bit or make you more efficient or, and I think that's something that goes a long way. But if you don't have it in your head and you're not thinking about it, because so many kids just go through drills. You're doing backwards crossovers around a circle. They're just going through the motions. They're going to get better, like you said, just because they're doing it. But man, if they like really dial in on what you're saying and the key points and how to move your foot this way and how to, pull that other foot underneath or whatever, key words you're using, it gets better so much faster.
Yeah. I like that. There's a lot of times where I'll say like, I'm really good at demonstrating exactly what they look like.
Yeah.
I said, this is what you look like. And this is what I look like when I'm doing my crossover. So you see the difference.
Yeah.
Okay, now go do it.
Yeah.
And here's what you got to do specifically. But
and one other thing too, in privates and stuff, even group settings, do you use video at all? Like, will you video kids at all or video their?
I think there's so much benefit to it for sure, but I don't.
Because even what you're saying is funny, but like, teaching for as long as you have, and I can mimic any kid.
Yeah.
Like how they mess up, right? So it's not video, but it's kind of video. So you're showing them like, this is what you look like. They're laughing. Like, no way. I'm like, 100% that's what you look like. So you need to fix this, right? But I think, like video, I think is one thing I know. And I've used it in privates a lot. And especially with the pro guys I use it a lot with them, because for them, it's like such small little margins of what you want to fix, right? If it's maybe a bit of a heel kick on a stride, you want to get their heel down a bit. Well, they can't see it. So on video, they're like, holy geez, I had no idea I was doing that, right?
Yeah.
So, but if you can demonstrate it too, they're like, okay, I get it.
I was just teaching, like I teach that forward stride all the time. And I say, keep your heel down. And the times when I go through the video of myself, and sometimes will edit the videos myself, and I'm like, oh man, like my heel is so
I've done it too. I'm demonstrating something in a video. I'm like, that is terrible. Like, I can't use that so bad, you know? And
for sure.
That's the thing I tell coaches all the time. You don't have to be an NHL player or skate like an NHL player to be a good coach. If you can demonstrate anything at like a quarter speed, because none of us are going to play in the NHL at all. So like if you can demonstrate really slow and just get your point across, it's huge. Now, if you can skate, like you can skate or shoot, kids love seeing you go top shelf on a demo. Or hit the bar and the puck flies into the rink. Like they love that. So if you can add a little bit of spunk and pizzazz to it too, I think it's effective, but you don't have to have that, as long as you can stand on your skates and move around a little bit, and you can demo, at a really, really slow speed. Right. At least then kids can see it, can understand it, and hopefully can mimic it,
Okay. So good call. So there's a lot of the trainers that I do hire. They're amazing hockey players, and then they'll ask for a job, and I say, yeah, sure. Like, so I know that your skills are going to be great. This is the level of hockey that you play. So I know you can demonstrate them, but can you communicate with the kids? And like, that's of equal importance. So I need to know that, you're really good with kids. You've got a niece or nephew, you've got kids yourself, or you've been hanging around kids for a long time and you know how to communicate with them. So it's got to be both of those things. So if you have, let's say you're a coach that maybe hasn't played such high level of hockey, but you've got a great passion for, right now I'm coaching my son's basketball team, and like I'm much better at hockey than I am at basketball. Yeah. But what I can drive out of the kids is I can still be, out of those 5 things that we were talking about, still be a lot of fun. I can still be a great motivator. I can still learn my X's and O's and the tactician sort of side of things. Maybe I might not be able to demonstrate just as much. I could still be a player's coach. You just got a disciplinarian. It could still be all of those things. If you can't demonstrate as well, then really rely on Scotty Bowman. He was like Ken Hitchcock. Like, these guys are not impressive on their skates. But you get they've got the tactician side down pat, the motivator side down pat. Who was it? Balsma. Like if he was ever my coach, like he was such a good player's coach, and like really quickly was a player before he was coaching the Penguins to their cup victory. And then Babcock, like there could be no better motivator, I think, for me, just in the way that he communicates. Like I would do anything he asked me to do. You know? So if you're not incredibly good at demonstrating the skills, you've got so many other assets that you can work on and be really good at to try to convey your message or improve the kids and improve the players that you have.
But even like basketball, you're saying, let's say I'm a dad, I'm coaching my son's basketball team. I played high school basketball. My shot's terrible, whatever it is, right? But I mean, then grabbing little Johnny, who's actually got a pretty good shot, be like, hey, like this is what we're going to do, and kind of get him to demonstrate, right? Depending on what the drill is or whatever the skill is, using the resources around you, or hire a good assistant coach, hire a good high school basketball player that is going to come help you out.
Watch him. Yeah.
Right. And to your point about being able to teach, like we were talking about this a little bit before, but I've had coaches that were Olympians. I've had coaches that played the NHL, terrible coaches, like awful. Couldn't relate, couldn't teach, but I've had other coaches that have never played really high level anything, and they've been unbelievable. And to me, it's more about the teaching. It's more about being a good person, number one, and some of those values that midget coach had for you, but being a good teacher and being able to relate to the players. And then, at the end of the day, your experience, it helps down the road for sure. But it's not the be all and end all, and especially for anybody coaching minor hockey, as long as you're a good teacher and you can help these kids learn. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I wanted to touch on the point that you were talking about before in terms of like making a hardworking, like how kids are not as hardworking as what they maybe a lot that we've seen. So yeah, I think so one point that I always make is like we'll call the kids in, and it's a whole speech that I've got. What I'll ask the kids, like, okay, if I'm the coach of this team, and I've got two different kids that are kind of on the bubble, and I'm not really sure which one I want to choose for my team. There's only one spot, left wing, and one of these kids is going to be my last left winger. This one kid is just so skilled, but eyes and ears, maybe he's like a bit disconnected sometimes when I'm teaching him things, him or her. And then there's the other kid who is not as skilled, but is so hardworking, has like an obsession and a passion for the sport. Which one do you think I would want? And the kids always know. It's like, okay, well, even if this player is more skilled, you'd want the hardworking one. And I say the reason would be, you give me 10 really good practices, and I can make this hardworking player equally good in terms of skill as this player. I just need you to be eyes and ears, hardworking, but that's I don't know. There's just certain types of kids that have that certain passion for hockey. And then there's others that, it's just like a great recreation sport, or they like hanging out with their buddies. And so it's like the $1 million question, like how to create more hardworking players. But I think it starts with passion. It starts with obsession. If you have that, then I can motivate that kid to be better and better, and give them reason to want to be even better as well too. So,
and I mean, like when you think of good coaches you had, obviously you're a hardworking guy, but when you think of good coaches that you had, you would go through the wall for them, right? And even some of the players on your team, if you think back of that midget team, let's say, and some of the players you had weren't so super passionate. They kind of like take it or leave it. They had a big social life, but I'm sure when they showed up at the rink for this guy, if they liked him and respected him, they would play a little bit harder for that player. So I'm not saying you're going to turn a weak, kind of a soft player that just like likes his social life, doesn't really care about hockey, into like this hardworking, aspiring junior A player. But at the same time, can you get a little bit more? Can you, push that level up a little bit? I think so. And I think a lot of it comes back to exactly what you talked about, being motivating, being like, play for the team, play for, me, play for, and then push those kids a little bit. But those are some of the things, like, how do I get my players to be more tenacious? How do I get my players to, have more balls on the ice? You can't. Sorry. Like, you can push him a bit, but at the end of the day, if he doesn't want to stand in front of the net, he's not going to stand in front of the net. It's
right. Yeah. I'll like first teach them, here's the tactic. Here's how you stand in front of the net, and, you teach them the tactics. Here's what I need you to do. Here's what it looks like. And then if they need more reasoning beyond that, I always tell them, one of my favorite things of telling, especially like teams, is like, just imagine if you need motivation, if it's not, you want to get better yourself, or you want to make the NHL one day, and it's more like an individual goal, then as a team environment, you're not playing golf or tennis like a single player sport. This is not all on you. It's 15 or 17 individuals with goalies plus the coaching staff, and one team is a whole of 17 kids or 17 players. So imagine if all of those players were working at not 90%, but 101%, and working as hard as they possibly can, then we're going to have the most successful team that we could possibly can. And if we have maybe one or two that are working at 80%, do we have a full successful team? And all of the kids would say, no, we don't. Like, everyone's got to be buying into that. And if those two kids need some reason, then just as you said, it's just like, okay, so that those parents up there that are paying for like this really nice jersey that you've got right here, and this beautiful bag that you've got with your name and logo and number on it, like, you're playing for them. Those are your fans. And so go get me a goal today, or go deck this guy in the corner and make sure he doesn't score on you, or whatever it is. Like, another story that I like to tell is like, when I was really young, 8 or 9 years old, I remember at the very end of the season, this mom came up to me once and she said, "Oh, just so you know," she had two sons, one that I played hockey with, and one that was a lot younger. Like, he was like only 5 or 6. And he says the younger son never came to the games to watch his brother. He actually came to watch you play. And she told me at the end of the year, and I wish I had known that throughout the season, because that would have been extra motivation. But I think about like that kid and playing for him or playing for her. And so,
yeah,
if not for your grandparents or your parents or your fans that are out there, then who else do you play for? It's like you play for your brothers, you play for your sisters, whoever is on your team with you. And they are here because they want to win. And if you just don't feel like you're up to it, then look to them and be like, hell yeah, like I'm going to work my ass off for them. And I'm going to, outside of practices and games, I'm going to go work on my shot at after school because I need to be better for them. My passing needs to be better. My shot needs to be better or whatever. There's so many reasons to like motivate kids, but
no,
some of my favorite ones.
Finding those nuggets that do motivate the kids, right? Aside from I'll give you $5 a goal, and you know what I mean? Like those are to me ridiculous, but it's also too, I think as parents, like kind of strategically navigating the community a little bit, meaning like, you know, growing up for me, I had good buddies. I just probably accidentally had good buddies, but they loved, like, we're in Sudbury, so they love going to the outdoor rinks. They love playing ball hockey. So that was me. That's what I did all the time. That's what, you know, same with you. I'm sure you had buddies that loved, kind of migrated to guys that liked playing ball hockey and doing stuff outside, playing basketball, stuff like that. But man, imagine being a parent now and you're going through, my kids are young, so they're just starting to like get friends and stuff like that. But for you, like when you see, like, let's say you see your boy going down the wrong path, or some kids that are, you know, this sounds bad, I used to skateboard, but into skateboarding and video games, and you know what I mean? Going like, kind of like, you know, a different way. Not to say those kids are bad kids, but you're like, man, like I'd like to see him maybe hang out with this guy who's really loves reading books, or this girl who loves, whatever it is, right? But kind of like helping push or steer a little bit to like, put your kids in the right environment, you know? And one thing we talk about all the time as kids get older is getting the right people around them. So, you know, if your boy ends up being an unreal basketball player, I'm sure you're going to find like probably a coach to help him out as far as doing lessons with them, or, you know, someone that can help him navigate going to school, or maybe trying to get a scholarship, or like getting those right people around them that can help them have success. And then when you peel it back to like minor hockey, it's, if you're a coach who's maybe not super experienced in coaching, well then find a guy like you, or find a skills guy in your area that can come out and give you a hand with practice and, you know, things like that. Right. So how do you help these kids have success? You know, I think you got to, as a growing up and an adult, you got to help build those foundations. And, you know, sometimes you got to steer them that one way rather than going, you know, rather than taking a left, taking a right. You know?
I love that idea. Yeah. Putting the right people around them. That's great. I have to think about that a little bit more. My son, he's like 11 years old now, and he's thinking a lot about like, he plays basketball, as I said, but he's just like every other kid right now. He's just like glued into his phone and wants to play Minecraft. And he has other great traits that he has. Loves illustrating and again, loves basketball. He loves being outside. But it's up to me a lot of the time to like motivate him to like, okay, like let's get off the couch now and like let's start, you know, getting better at this or whatever. But I love the idea of
starts young though, right? Like when you get into parenting, like one thing I noticed having kids was, first of all, it was a gong show because you have no idea, you know, no one like, no matter how many books you read about parenting and how it's going to be, like it's completely off the charts as far as, you know, everyone's different, every kid's different. You're just kind of like learning as you go. Exactly. Right. But it's also, you know, at a young age, is taking your kids for walks. You know, if you don't like walking, take them for a bike ride. If you don't, there's ways you can do it. You don't like bike rides, take them to a park, whatever. But, you know, getting outside with them or whatever you enjoy doing, going, being active, taking them to a basketball game or taking, you know, but kind of letting them experience different things. Because if you're a parent that loves video games, I mean, 9 times out of 10, your kid's going to be on the couch beside you playing video games, and you're cool with it, right? The only kicker with video games now is, you know, some people are winning millions of dollars playing video games.
Oh, right.
So it's like, man, if your kid comes to you like that, I'm really good at Minecraft. Like, there's a tournament, I could actually win some money. You're like, shit. No.
Yeah, before you were just wasting your...
That was every parent's worst nightmare when this one kid won $3 million playing, I think it was Fortnite, and they're like, no, this can't be happening. Because, right? Because now, I mean, I think, honest to God, I think there's scholarships now in the States for video gaming.
My gosh.
Yeah.
That's
and there's big money in it now. Like, so I mean, that's a whole other conversation, obviously. And we don't, I'm older school, so I do not want my kids getting a scholarship for video games.
No.
But if somewhere down the road they find, totally. I'd be like, oh man, you know, because when I think of like, I played video games growing up, I'm sure you did, and it was fine.
Let's talk about video games for a bit.
I'm
okay with it.
I'm fine with it. But I think there's obviously like a little bit of like, and when I think of like young kids playing video games around, which is totally wrong way for me me to think, but I think of like a kid crushing chips, crushing pop, and sitting up for 7 hours playing video games, which is not the case everywhere. But
red eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Crushing Red Bulls at 11 years old.
God,
just what. Yeah. So, but I think it's, again, going back to what I was saying, I think as parents, we got to help kind of navigate the waters, a little bit more. And it's not easier. I mean, when I was young, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have social media, we didn't have Facebook, and now you're going through with your boy where he's got, there's social media out there. There's all, you can't turn it off. It's there all the time. Right. So there's
this great book. So maybe you've heard of it. Jane McGonigal wrote it. I think I have it up here, Super Better. And she was great. She had a really terrible concussion, and it was so impairing for her that she had actually, like, she could barely get out of bed. Deep depression. And so anyways, her sister and her family members all sort of knew that she liked games. And so what they would do was everything had to be turned into a game to like get her up and out of bed. So anyways, long story short, things started really easy. Like her sister would say, all you got to do is look out the window and tell me what it is that you see. And then when I call you, just tell me what it is. And then, every day she would call her. And then the next day, and now look out the window and tell me, tell me how many cars drove by at the time when you were looking out the window, and blah, blah, blah. So it was just like a small, very incremental growth. Anyways, she ended up writing this incredible book.
So she went from like counting cars to writing a book.
Right, to writing a book, literally, yeah. And getting herself out
of
how
old is she when it happened?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think it was
but like an adult
years.
Yeah, that's crazy though. Yeah.
And so she ended up writing this book specifically towards the benefits of gaming. And so this is what got me, I purchased an Xbox and for the reason, but I was like, yeah, right. Like I really liked video games and I liked the whole strategy, but mainly it was just me doing it in my basement.
Yeah.
And not for hours on end or anything, but a healthy amount.
Yeah.
And then I lost interest in it and had to focus more on
then life
work.
Gets busy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then I thought, okay, maybe it'd be a benefit if I did this with my son, and we would, the role playing games and like the team strategy and things like that. The benefit of doing that, even though you're staring not even at each other, but you're staring at a TV screen, you're both cooperatively working towards the same goal.
Okay, this is really cool actually, because I've never thought of it that way. But even just spending an hour playing ice hockey or playing basketball or playing Minecraft or whatever with your son or daughter,
as long as it's cooperative.
And having some dialogue, obviously, and like, hey, get that guy or hey, get this guy, and see even. This is really cool because even seeing how your young son's mind works, I'm sure you learn stuff by him just on how he approaches a video game or how he approaches certain scenarios, right?
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that good point. Yeah.
So has it have you gotten into it a little bit? Like, have you gotten kind of back into video games?
Yeah. So just with him. Yeah, that's it. So there's like a Lego Star Wars, a game that will, as long as it's cooperative and we can play 2 players, then we go out on our missions.
And would you ever? Because I know he doesn't live here, right? Now, would you ever? Do you guys ever do it online? Like, would you ever?
That's a good question. Yeah, we should maybe do that. Good question.
Because that's another thing, right? Yeah. I know a lot of the young guys that play and are away in junior. Yeah. They're like, hey, 5 o'clock today. Like guys get on from all over. Yeah. All the buddies, let's say from London, that are playing scattered. Yeah. And they get on, they get their headsets on, and they're like having full conversations and like,
that's a good idea.
So it is like, as much as we knock it, there's some benefits to it as well. Because even as a young kid, when I went away to play junior in Markham, I was lonely, man. The first 2 weeks, all I could think about is like my buddies having fun back home, and I'm stuck in I'm in Markham, and maybe I'll just go home. And every kid goes through this, at some point, we just get homesick, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't have that kind of internet, social media aspect to it then. But man, being able to FaceTime even, like how good is FaceTime for when you don't see your kids? Yeah. Like, if I'm traveling and I can FaceTime my kids every day, it's unbelievable. I feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm, they're eating dinner, I'm chatting a little bit. It's great. Like you kind of get, it's way better than like writing a letter. Yeah. Or,
Right? So whatever they did back then.
Yeah. But video games is one thing that I never thought about it that way. So I'm enlightened right now. It's good.
I'm glad we got
on the way home, I'm going to grab a couple Xboxes and a PS4 or whatever's out now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's funny, man. I went into a store the other day. This is like how you know how old you are, right? I was buying something and like, I told this young girl was helping me out. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. It was like something for kids. I'm like, I'm so removed from like this kind of this. I can't remember even what it was, but I felt like I was 92 years old. And somebody just dropped me off at a store and I was like, I have no idea what I'm buying right now, but can you help me with this? Like, oh, yeah, I have a problem. And she knew everything. Yeah, right, like, here you go. I'm like, man, it's catching up. Like, this is not good. So to have your finger on the pulse a bit though is, I think, huge. So, you know, anybody who's like, I don't like social media and stuff. If you have kids, you got to kind of get into it because you got to kind of know what is going on, you know, and even things like YouTube. I'm sure you've caught your son going down rabbit holes in YouTube. Like, why are there police shootings on YouTube right now? How'd you get to here? Right? It's so, you know what I mean? When those like 10 other clips are down there and you just like keep hitting them and your son's like 7 and he's hitting, you know, someone getting arrested. You're like, dude, you started off with like watching little kids playing hockey. Now you got some guy getting arrested for drugs. Like, what is going on? You know?
I haven't caught him doing that yet, but
that's good.
Hopefully.
Hopefully not. And he's older now too, so he might be into like girl stuff and things like that, you know? So
just now, now he's like, so I'll be down here and I can hear him upstairs on his phone calls and he's talking to one of his friends. And they play Truth or Dare. And so like,
good
do you remember
game.
Truth or Dare?
Great game.
And I remember by the time I went up there, I wanted to like sneak in under the conversation and just see like, what are they talking about? And he actually got to the point where he's just like, honestly, we've been playing Truth or Dare for like an hour now. Can we just talk? And I was like, yes.
Old school conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's, you know what, the fact that was he talking like on FaceTime or something?
I think it was just over the phone.
Yeah, which is actually unbelievable because most kids just text now.
Right.
Play a whole hour of Truth and Dare through text. Like, how boring would that be?
Yeah.
Throw my phone through that wall. Be ridiculous, right?
I hate texting.
Yeah. Same. I'm not like, It's so funny though, man. Like just how things have, and as a parent too, right? You got to kind of like, you got to evolve with the times obviously and kind of see how things are going. But a couple more things. I know you're a busy guy and stuff, but who are some of the biggest influences kind of in your life, even at a young age, like getting into hockey at, 5, 6, 7, at that age? Was it your dad or was it buddies in the neighborhood or kind of what got you into hockey?
So originally, I'd say this buddy, when I was like really young, he played AAA.
Yeah.
So just him coming to that birthday party and getting me a Rock'em Sock'em was like all I needed. Watching him play once.
So Don Cherry was your kickstarter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Poor guy. Nice guy.
I know. It's a tough
one. Second thing was my dad is like the most supportive acts of service type of guy. So like anything you show a passion in, he's just like, I'll financially back it. I'll give you every resource that you possibly need. And I think if he knew exactly the type of training that I really needed in order to get to the NHL, he would have done that, but he just didn't know.
Yeah.
Played hockey when he was younger, but not anything too high level. So definitely him. And then since I was into it so much, my mom, she became like one of those parents that couldn't stand hockey and couldn't stand Don Cherry to being Don Cherry's like biggest fan
right.
and watching the Leafs every Saturday kind of thing. And now she follows them more than I do. So also same thing, just like super supportive parents.
Yeah, supportive family, eh?
Yeah.
And siblings too?
Yeah, I've got an older sister and a younger sister.
And were they in
about 3 years? My younger sister got into hockey, I think because of me a little bit, but we were like a really sports minded family. So they played softball. My younger sister played hockey.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And then as I grew up, it was looking towards idols and like these hockey heroes. Gretzky was like, I got this one video. Did you ever watch Above and Beyond?
Oh yeah.
Man. Yeah. So like that, once I got into this, the same way kids are going down YouTube rabbit holes.
Yeah, for sure.
Once I got the Don Cherry Rock'em Sock'em, it's like, okay, every year I'm going to get this thing. And then I found out about Above and Beyond, and I think I got that for Christmas. And that, like, I just watched it recently, like a couple weeks ago for the first time. It was on YouTube, actually.
Okay, cool.
Someone just like videotaped it off of it, and I loved it. And it's like just watching him in the Edmonton Oilers days, and then obviously into LA. It was like I guess also they personified him as like this hockey legend, you know, that's just like incomparable to anyone. And so in watching that, it was just like, okay, this is exactly what I want to be. And so even out on the ice, I became a playmaker. They talked about obviously his incredible goal scoring and his obsession for the sport and lacrosse and baseball and all of the things that help benefit him to get there. But then, you know, later into the video, they started talking about how, okay, he also used Yari Curry as his line mate, and he became one of the game's best game awareness playmakers, and just knew where everyone is at all times. And so that like opens up your consciousness, opens up your perspective when you're out on the ice, when you start thinking, okay, I want to improve on that. So yeah, him, Lemieux, it started turning it into like more of those types of guys. What about you?
You know what? I was moving to that neighborhood and started playing ball hockey and whatever. My first year of hockey, because I'm an old bugger, was actually on an outdoor rink. So like outdoor hockey, like on an outdoor hockey team, basically, right? Like that's the best. We get dressed in snowbanks or get pair skates on snowbanks and then play a legit game with refs. Yeah, outdoor. Awesome. Which for anybody listening is like, I'm a fossil, but that's fine. Any young kids listening to this. But yeah, it was my first year and then I just fell in love with it, and that was it. Like it was over. That was all I wanted to do, like ball hockey, roller hockey, hockey, and yeah, it was just I loved it. And we had like every neighborhood in Sudbury for the most part. Like I would get home from school, let's say 3:30 or whatever it was. I'd hammer my homework, like completely do it wrong. As long as it was done, throw it in the bag, grab a snack, and I would walk to the outdoor rink by like 4:30, and I'd be there till like 8 or 9. Sometimes my mom would come down and bring me dinner, and like it was awesome. Like I would do it every single. And I had buddies that did it with me, but I was probably the one out of all my buddies that did it the most. Like I was always at the rink. I would be there. Everyone knew my name. There'd be old guys who would come in, like, you know, teenagers at the time that would come in at 17, 18. A bunch of them want to play a game, and we'd jump in at like 11 and 12 and play with them, and we'd tool them because we're always playing with tennis balls, and we were on the rink every day. So we were pretty good. And but to your point, you said this way earlier, but like I should have been using a puck for all those hours I spent on the outdoor rink, you know, but that's so for anybody listening, those young kids should be using heart or something heavy at least. Right. But one thing, so then it just escalated and I just kind of kept going. And I loved it and never played AAA till Bantam. I kind of played, got caught, ended up playing AA, double B at one point, and then ended up making the AAA team like as a 10th forward. Nice. It's just, I legitimately got my helmet blown off my head in tryouts. Like our team captain, who eventually was our team captain, came across the defenseman. I got the puck, like looking behind me. Shit. And remember those old XL7s? They were like terrible helmet. They had like the clips on the side. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I had one of those on. This is how old school, right? So I come across, I'm at the Sudbury Arena where the Sudbury Wolves play. This is where the tryout is. Nice. Come in, that rink is still there.
I know.
Get the puck, I turn my head, he like middle ice crunches me. My helmet, my cage flew off. One of my clips came off. So I go to the bench. Like nowadays, I would have been like in the dark room on the way to the hospital, right? Dad comes down. My dad comes down from the stands. Like, buddy, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I was okay. Probably definitely minor concussion. But like I felt fine, whatever. I'm like little days, whatever. Wires my cage back on. Oh yeah, because I wanted to keep playing. Like it wasn't my dad saying you got to go back out there. My dad was not like a pusher at all. Like if I had said, "Dad, I'm good. I'm shutting her down," I'd be like no problem. Yeah. I'm like, Dad, I got to get my helmet back on, man. So he's like, okay. So you grab some wires my cage back on, go out, finish the tryouts, and then I ended up making the team as like the 10th forward. Like my God. Yeah. And then that was it. That was kind of like, now I'm around better players and now you get a chance to like see the game at like, a higher speed. And I was way behind, but by the end of the year, I was playing like probably top 6. And then the next year I was a captain of that team. And then, because back there we played like 2 years. So I was a minor making a minor major team type thing in AAA back then. Yeah. So then same AAA team, the older guys all moved on, the younger guys stayed. So now I was one of the older guys, whatever. And then, and then I ended up playing minor midget in Sudbury and then kind of went on to play junior in college and a little bit of pro. And it was great. Like it was, awesome. My goal, I was young, I was small. I mean, and back then the rules were like clutching, grabbing, can openers. Like it was, so my goal was just to push hockey as far as I could. Yeah. I wanted to make the NHL, but so the year I stopped playing was the year of the lockout when all the rules changed for speed, which sucked. Cause it would have been nice to play 1 or 2 more years with the new rules where no one could grab you anymore and you can kind of wheel, Yeah. But I had no regrets. It was awesome. I loved every minute of it.
What kind of player were you? You speedy?
I was like looking back on it now, my last couple of years, I almost went back to play, but we started the hockey school and I bought a house and I was like, man. And so I wasn't sure, but anyways, I'd be like I was more of a passer than I was a scorer and, but I would be like in the NHL right now, let's just say I was like, up there, I'd be like a 3rd, 4th line, checker, hardworking guy, penalty kill guy. Yeah. Maybe play up your lineup if you needed me to for a couple of games, would have probably shit the bed after a bit, so put me back down. You know what I mean? But
if you were like an NHLer, what style of who would you be most?
Nowadays, I'd probably be. And not even skill set wise, but even like thinking about someone in our area right now, but like a Toronto, like a Moore. Now Moore plays up the lineup pretty heavy. He's a smaller guy, but wheels, like good set of wheels on him, but can also play third line, fourth line. Can kill penalties.
Okay.
Like, that'd be me. Wouldn't be a Marner, would not be a Matthews, like not that kind of style, right? But and I really kind of figured that out later in my career what I was, because what happens is, like in junior, for instance, I was a leader on the team by my second year junior, and I was one of the top scorers in the league, get a scholarship. Then you go to school. Now you're the low man on the totem pole. Right. Yeah. So you're a freshman. You're sitting out every second game, and then sophomore, and then junior, I'm one of the leaders. I'm scoring. I'm and then I finished college, and I'm I'm top scorer on my team in college. Whatever's fine. Yeah. Then you go to pro, and you're back out, right? Yeah, right. So then in pro, and now you're figuring it out. But in pro, that's where I really figured out what exactly I was, because you kind of get. I think as any young kids playing minor hockey, you're going through junior, you kind of get a little bit misguided because you're good at that level. Yeah. Everyone's good at that level. When you get to college, all the best of the best are in college, or in major junior, right? So now you got to figure out what you are. So you think you're a scorer, you think you got your big playmaker, but like, no, actually you're like a good penalty kill guy. You're a good, good checker. And then I started to get that. When I started to get it in like my second, third year pro, I was like, okay, I love it. Like, I'm fine with it. This is great. No pressure on scoring 50 goals. I can do my job, maybe score half a point a game and be fine. So I loved it. But I also love practice. I liked working out. I liked everything. I love the competitive part. I liked jumping in for a buddy if you got hit. I love being a teammate. I loved it all. Like, every part of it, I really, really enjoyed. So it was, it's the best. It was fun, man. It was a blast. And now for me, it's, I like to relay that back to these young kids. Like, I just had a conversation with kids the other day. They were coming, they were 6 or 7 of them, 3 of them playing on the same team. And they were telling me the story about a kid got hammered and like got hit. Yeah. And I'm like, well, then, were you guys on the ice with them? Like, yeah, I was. And 2 of them were. I'm like, did anybody jump in on this? Like, anyone go talk to this kid? And like, they just looked at me like I just like had 4 heads. Like, I'm like, guys, like, your teammate got hit, dirty hit. Did anyone go over and just grab the guy? Like, not fight him, just grab him, talk to him, like tell him if he does that again, you're gonna take his head off. Like, nice. I'm like, this is unacceptable. I'm like, you guys cannot let that happen. If you got hit, and something happened, you got to jump in for him. You got to go talk to this kid at least send a message that that's not going to be acceptable on our team. But these young kids, and this is no knock on parents or like that or coaches, but someone's got to teach that a little bit, right? That these are some of the like code of the game. And I'm not talking fighting. I'm just saying, like, and I said this to them, I'm like, guys, if we were walking in an alley and some guy came over and sucker punched me, you're just going to run and I'll be right back. Just going to call the police. You got to step in. If you're at the mall, someone snatches someone's purse, like, oh, that sucked. I'll call the cops. Like, no, you got to like, now if the guy's got guns, there's other situations, just call the cops. But little things like that, like you're going to help your buddy out or step in for it. Well, it's the same thing in sport. And I think it is getting away from that, as you take fighting out and things like that, it definitely kind of changes the layout of the game, I guess, a little bit. But
we'll see where it ends up going. The evolution of hockey, I mean.
Yeah. And I think organic fights, not that I'm promoting fighting, but organic fights I think are fine. Yeah. If someone hits your goal or someone dirties somebody or you slash me, I slash you, okay.
Yeah, as long as the fight makes sense and there's a purpose.
Because like the setup fights like from before, you see a draw and now if you dirty, like, if you hit my captain really, really dirty last game at the end of the game, the next game, there should be something that happens, as far as talking to, or maybe there might be a fight that comes out of it. But back in the day, there was like tough guy line up. We're going like, this is, kind of entertainment, right? That part of it I could see getting out of the game and, kind of moving forward on that. Yeah, for sure. But I think just as far as being the sport, like you said, it's a hard sport, maybe one of the toughest sports to play. There's so much action. There's so much adrenaline. There's so much, not even anger, just aggression. And just, and in competitiveness that it's bound to happen. Yeah. Right.
The aggression side of it's like, that's a lot of fun. Like that's what makes it so competitive. Right.
Yeah. But I mean, like you remember, so let me kind of flip it on you, but what kind of player were you?
Oh yeah. Like I changed, like kind of evolved throughout my youth hockey career. Like originally goal scorer, playmaker, loved getting points and have always been like a speedster. So just like tons of speed. And then, like each year you're trying to find those like other players are starting to get, maybe better at you at some things. You always tried to find, okay, where did I fit in? And there were a few times where I'm like, okay, I'm the fastest guy on the team. I love scoring goals. I love setting up plays. I was never a two-way player. I was always
was always tilted one way for you?
Exactly. Yeah. Which I have a tough I teach kids to be a two-way, be a Jonathan Tays, be a Datsu kind of thing. But yeah, I was brutal at that. But I teach it really well.
Yeah. But it's good to be able to admit stuff like that too, right? You got holes in your game, it's fine. Everyone does.
Yeah, for sure. But as I got like a little bit older, since there were other goal scorers that were better than me, I should have found another role. And I think maybe that evolved into becoming more of like I can grind in the corners, and maybe I don't have so much size right now, but I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm stable on my legs, so like I can take a hit, push guys around. I enjoyed like the aggressive aspect of it, as long as it's not, again, too malicious. Yeah. But I need to compare it. Like, I don't know. I want to say Gretzky when I was younger, but that's
someone that you probably loved. Like did you have the half tuck jersey?
Oh my God, yeah, probably.
The black blades or the blue blades or the blue blades. But man, you think about it, right? This guy starts wearing blue blades in the NHL. How many kids have blue blades? Like tons of kids. Yeah, exactly. And it's hilarious, right? Yeah.
And then the Russians started coming in, and like since watching Pavel Bure and like Sergei Fedorov, I was like, okay, like I want speed to be the biggest asset for me. And so my favorite thing was just blowing by guys in one-on-one and beating them wide. And that was my favorite thing for sure. I played, cool. So you said you played inline hockey as well too?
Yeah, not really. Yeah. I played in a couple tournaments, but in Sudbury, we didn't really have any like, I was older too, but like a lot just on tennis courts and on the road and stuff like that. Yeah. I played in a couple tournaments like on sport court, but I was the guy, like if you ever played in a tournament, I was the guy who showed up, like everyone's got like Cooperalls and stuff. I was the guy who showed up in hockey pants and socks. And I was okay, this guy's like right out of the rink and not a chance. Like I could play, I could skate okay, but these guys are good. Like some of them were legit roller hockey players. And for anyone who doesn't know the difference, like they can stop on a dime, they turn well, their hands are sick. Like I was not that guy. But it was fun though.
I loved inline. So I played that as well. That was like my I played it inline in the summer times, and then ice hockey in the winter. And I was able to, like, you know how you're supposed to just like separate the sports, and you're supposed to, get away from hockey for like a couple months and do something else. And I would do that like spring, right after tryouts, May, June, do something else, but then right back into hockey, but inline hockey. And I was able to separate the sports as if they were two completely different things.
And they kind of, very similar crossover, but they're different people play it. You got a lot of crossover with hockey, obviously, but one of the things that I'm sure you get this a lot, like, when's enough? Like, should I just put the equipment away, and should I not let my kids play in the summer and not, and I think to some extent, but at the same time, like, I know for me, if my mom and dad told me like, no, you can't play ball hockey or you can't play inline, like you got to play baseball in the summer, like, I'm like, no, like this is what I want to do. So if you're a dad who's like, you should go shoot pucks in the summer, you should play inline in the summer, that's different. Yeah, right. But if the kid's like, this is all I want to do, like, okay. All right. Like then find inline or find a good ball hockey league or find ball hockey is unreal too, because you got to run. There's no gliding. Yeah. So you're just, it's a bagger. Yeah. So for young kids, like that's a great cross training. That's hockey, but it's a totally different game and it's hard. But like, if that's what your kid wants to do, like, why would you bring him into soccer when he hates soccer? Yeah. Just so he can play another sport? Right. Doesn't like it. Yeah, exactly. Go to the soccer pitch with him and go kick some balls around on Saturday morning for fun for 20 minutes or a half hour. That'd be way better than forcing him to play in a, so I think there's something there to be said. Like to your point, when you were young, you wanted to play inline. Well, let's play inline, man.
It's like almost like I didn't have another choice, because there's just like this, like not based on anyone else's disposition. It was mine. It was just like, no, I have to this is my life. Yeah. But ball hockey, I've only played actually a few games where like buddies would ask me to come out. But when you can't glide. Yeah. In Brampton, there's like a big East Indian culture. And so like a lot of my buddies growing up in high school that were East Indian, they couldn't skate for shit, but they loved hockey. And so like they were actually decent ball hockey players. And so we'd play street hockey or in the tennis courts or whatever. Yeah. And that was a lot of fun too. Yeah, it's good.
No, that's cool. One thing too, I wanted to comment on Gretzky. So a lot of people say, well, Wayne Gretzky was the best, probably arguably one of the best players ever. And he never did skill development. He never did, which to me is a crock. The young guy grew up in Brantford. Yeah. And what did his dad do every single winter?
Yeah.
Built him a rink in his backyard.
Yeah, he had the rink. Yeah.
So every single winter, when it got cold, he had a rink in his backyard. And you're going to tell me Walter Gretzky to not go out there and kind of bark at him a bit or tell him to do drills? Come on. That kid did skill development every single winter, all winter. And not because anyone, I think, told him. I think he loved it. Like, just like if you had a rink in your backyard or I did, I would have been out there. You know, I was fortunate to live in Sudbury, but I was out there all the time. So if I had it in my backyard, I would have been out there even more, right? So for him, like when people say that, I'm like, okay, he maybe didn't have structured skill development like we have now, but this guy practiced all it, which is awesome. And then, you know, I'm not saying that's why he was who he was. That definitely helped because his hockey IQ was off the charts. He was so much ahead of the game as far as how he thought the game. Even like banking the puck off the side of the net, banking the puck off the bat. No one did that. You know, he started
using
like
physics.
And started using it like consistently, you know? So I think, you know, when you look at guys like Wayne Gretzky, it's like, man, this kid did, you know, a lot of extra training, a lot of, you know, and he played extra sports and stuff. Don't get me wrong.
I don't know too much. So like, but from the biographies that I've read and the documentaries that I've watched, so yeah, he had like a pond in his backyard. So wintertime, I remember him like hearing stories and like his dad would took some photos that I'm sure you could find on the internet of him in his hockey gear for like when he would go to bed. So he'd get into his hockey gear, sleep in his hockey gear. So he'd wake up at like whatever 5 a.m.
To do
like
it before school.
Which is incredible. So yeah, two things I want to say about that is like I remember Walter said the one drill that he did a lot was he would just set up pylons, whatever a meter apart, around, and he would just go in and around with a puck around each of these pylons. He'd turn around the last one and come back. And it was just the most simplest drill, but just like figure eights kind of through. And he said, every time I started, I always started with that drill. And I was obsessed with just this one drill. And he said that each pylon was a guy. I'm going to step around this guy. I'm going to step around this guy. Step around this guy. And each pylon, he would just step around him. Be better than this pylon, be better than this guy, be better than this guy, and then come back and do the same thing again. And so he's developing his skating, obviously. He's doing quick turns and quick crossovers, but he's also developing, the mindset that got to beat this guy wide, got to beat this guy wide. He's developing his hands because he's always got a puck in his stick, so he's developing smooth puck control and possession skills. And then he also has a game awareness where he's just now like, he's not looking so much at the pylon, but he's looking at the spaces between the pylons. And so like, I'm certain that you're right. Like his dad was probably there, you know, instructing.
I'm sure once in a while I would be, you would be like, for sure. And I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying like, for sure. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. But the fact that he was able to develop, I think he just had a broader perspective of just a wise creature, you know, like, But I just listened to an audiobook, Ryan Holiday, Strength and Stillness, and he dedicated like an entire chapter to Tiger Woods and what his story was like from like
it's unbelievable.
From the fall to like him doing his cross training in like the army because his dad did that, and like the repercussions of the injuries that he got from that, and his cheating and divorce and blah, 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 and everything that he ended up. And then this past year, and it ended up winning another major in I think January or whatever it was. But he said his dad trained him like he was in the army, like his dad was. And so he said he'd like swear, he was like aggressively on him at all times. And I'm definitely not condoning this whatsoever.
That's old school. Yeah.
To develop like the most single-minded, I have to be the best of the best of the best in this sport of all time. Like in some ways you need direction. And unfortunately his was more aggressive, but he always had the word enough as like a secondary, what am I trying to say? As like his dad would always push him as far as he possibly could.
Oh yeah, his like
his code word. Or
yeah.
Right.
Safe word or whatever.
Safe word. If it's ever too much, then you just say enough. Yeah. And apparently the story is that like he never used it once. Right.
Yeah.
So anyways, I was just listen to this. So
I mean, Tiger Woods is a really, really like. I mean, you want to talk crazy parents in hockey. Like this was a crazy dad in golf, no doubt.
Yeah.
And obviously Earl is like people knock it for what he did, but man, he did create the best golfer of all time. right? Change the sport, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But even him, like, I don't read anymore because I'm old. No, but I just audiobook everything and I just listen to it. Like if I'm driving or working out or whatever, I love it. Like,
Me too, yeah.
but I've been listening to the Tiger Woods, like he's coming out with one actually, which I'm really interested to listen to. But just about him.
Great.
Being on a high chair at 2 years old, eating breakfast, and his dad's swinging the club. So he's like watched like 10,000 swings before he was 4 years old, type thing, right? So it's like he's already got this muscle memory of what the swing looks like, and all these things that Earl Woods did that were honestly like pretty. Not even say groundbreaking, but pretty ahead of his time.
Yeah,
now,
for sure.
These days, you'd have CIS at your door and you'd lose your kid. So, maybe don't do that. But and calling him names and like, because he knew as a black golfer, he's going to get abused.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
So mentally just being tough and being able to like just focus on what you're doing, no matter what the outside noise is. But went to maybe extremes on it, but it's quite a story, man. It's insane.
But I think it brings reference to like, so, for players, like what type of player do they want to be? I think the gap, I don't know. I feel like the gap is still like quite large, where there's just like the ones that are completely obsessed with the NHL and this is the goal. And then there's others that, they want to be good. And then there's others that are just like, okay, for the enjoyment of the game, which is incredibly important. And I think throughout each of those, enjoyment's got to be primary. But the way that the game has evolved is so refined that like every single skill, and there's so many skills within one sport, that like from the highlights that I've seen this year and from just watching a few of the NHL games that I've seen so far this year, like the way that the game has evolved has just like it's a huge step. Like it's a noticeable, like I'm sure it's the same with you. Like anyone that like knows the game really well, it's just like, I think you could see it's just like, wow, like it's gotten faster. Players have gotten more skilled. Everything is just like more refined. Yeah. It's just so impressive what NHLers are doing. So I'm thinking, okay, so those guys, what training are they doing to get that good? And how much time and energy and experience do you have to be that good? And maybe it's like too much I'm sure it's too much for like some people. Like, I got into girls in high school and I was like, yeah, okay, screw hockey for a bit. I'll play hockey, but there's more important things. Yeah. and anything else that I got into as like you realize as you get older, it's like, oh wait, there's so much more to life than hockey. And so I was one of those people. But otherwise, we'd probably both be playing in the NHL right now.
No, totally. Now, was that one of the kind of turning points for you in midget, coming out of midget, playing AAA? Probably had chances to go play junior. Maybe you did. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And then kind of like, you know what? Maybe I'm just gonna
I was done with it. I was completely done with it.
Good,
when I was like, it was like grade 11, so whatever age that is, 14, 15, I actually quit for the year and just played high school hockey. Getting your name on the announcements was important enough to me at the time. Yeah. And also I had two years of this same coach that was, couldn't see the value that I could add to the team. And instead was more of like, okay, you're just not doing this well. So I lost a lot of confidence in myself, gained it that last year. And that was like my minor midget year, which is obviously an incredibly important year. But at the time, I was like, it doesn't matter enough to me. And then the last year was the midget year. So when I came back, we had this incredible coach. So then my perspective on hockey completely changed again. And but yeah. So then after that last year with that good coach, you were kind of like got more into the teaching side, got more into the other stuff. Yeah, I was more obsessed with like, okay, I'd like to make money. Yeah. I'd like to travel the world. I'd like to get married, have kids, do that whole thing. Yeah. So yeah.
No, but I think it's important because I think like a lot of kids feel guilty having played hockey their whole lives, and then they're like, man, I don't really want to do this anymore, which is totally fine. Yeah. But a lot of kids go through some guilt or end up playing junior because mom and dad want them to and don't enjoy it, have a rough ride for 2-3 years, and then end up hating the game. Or, and I think being able to leave on your own terms, whether you get cut and you're like, I'm good, or whatever that is, I think it's important for kids to be able to make a decision that makes sense. And maybe you look back on it sometimes like, oh, maybe I could have played a bit longer, or like whatever the decision is, doesn't matter. But at the same time, at that time, being able to make a decision that you're comfortable with, and then, you know, dealing with that, living with that. And obviously it's worked out well for you. I mean, you're, you know, you're back in the sport and you're doing.
Yeah. It's like I kind of never left the sport, it feels like.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's just took a different direction.
Yeah.
Still, it's just like a different hockey limb. I was talking to a buddy on a plane who I just happened to be sitting next to on my way to Nashville a couple of weeks ago. And he is a scout for the Nashville Predators, played OHL. And I just happened to be sitting next to him. And I heard going through customs, he said, I'm here for hockey. Da, da, da. And so I found myself sitting next to him. And serendipitously, and I said, okay, so like let's talk hockey. And he said, he's just like, yeah, I was planning on finishing hockey right after OHL, but it's just like once you get inside that door, it's almost like, you know, especially if it's like kind of all you know, it's really easy to default kind of setting, just go into. And there's so many avenues to get into in hockey. So he's a scout now, but yeah, mine was the teaching role and those who can't teach. And so, I like, a lot of people will say now, like, if you look at some of the videos, like I can skate really well and maybe demonstrate a lot of the other drills half decently. And a lot of people will ask, like, what level of hockey did you play? You must have played something great. I was like, no, I just played AAA up till this point. Yeah. But because I know how to break down the mechanics and I know how to, demonstrate them and execute them and like still athletic, then I can make myself look like a
totally level. No, and and I think the biggest thing there too is, I mean, for it is kind of almost, you know, when people ask you that question, you answer it, or people do some digging on you, find out, oh, you never played in the O or never played college, whatever it was. I think that is kind of refreshing for some young 13, 14-year-old kids who love working with kids, who love teaching, maybe like, man, maybe I can do something like this. Maybe I can get involved in something like this, you know? And what would your advice be, kind of wrapping up here, what would your advice be to young kids out there that maybe are a young Sean Walker who's 14, 15, playing hockey, but kind of like, man, maybe I'd like to get in more teaching, or maybe they're already teaching a little bit with some can skate programs or some hockey schools and stuff, but what would your advice be for them if they wanted to pursue something like this? Yeah,
definitely. I think everyone should, if you're like a good communicator and a good person, then more youngsters need role models of any age. And so if you're, like 13, 14, 15 year olds and older, then, and really obsessed with the sport and have some value to be able to teach, then I think I'm constantly telling a lot of trainers these days that are, you know, wanting to be hired as a support instructor, that I'm like, nah, you go do your own thing. Here, I'll give you some resources and say, here's some of the things that I learned along the way. And I wish I kind of knew when I first started my company, but you should do your own thing. You've got a lot of value in your own unique style of teaching. And I think it's better. You'll make more money, and it's just a better avenue than following me as a support instructor. I can teach you. Maybe you can be a support instructor for a period of time, but I'm not holding on to any of those people anymore, at least. Yeah. And for youngsters, like, I wasn't one of these people, but there's John Elkins goalie school. He's probably the best goalie school I've seen maybe ever in Mississauga area. And he, the way he sets up his programs are just perfect. It's just like, he's been doing this for such a long time, teaches pro guys and youngsters as well too, but mainly like rep level, high level players. And he actually hires on for the summer, paying, I think, more than minimum wage shooters. And so even, I only did this later, but you could be 13, 14, 15 years old and be one of those shooters. And then I didn't do it till I was like 16, 17, getting in on goalie instruction. But then you start learning. Once you start learning how to teach, then it's just like a completely different perspective, which ends up benefiting your game. So for an example of that, like skating treadmills, we had like one of the first skating treadmills ever put in at varsity. And so you have a mirror in front of you. And for the first time, before we even got kids on, the owner and myself were on there and we're looking at our strides and we're trying to like create. We know we can both skate really well, but now we're like trying to refine our strides even more so. So you start thinking, okay, I know how to skate, but now how do I teach someone else how to like break down the stride? And that's just specifically with a stride. But I've done that so much with every single skill now that I can tell you the subtlest details of what a perfect tight turn should be or whatever. And are you kidding me? Like, that's obviously going to benefit your game.
Yeah.
And so teaching, I think, is such a vital asset for any aspiring good hockey player, that they should be doing that and making some money at the same time anyways. I don't think there's anyone that probably goes into it being like, okay, I'm going to be the best teacher. But I think it's a great secondary job, maybe a primary job if you get into something like what I'm doing. But yeah, and then with the goalie school, it's just like you start learning about how to score on goalies, how do goalies move. It's a completely different sport, goalies, despite the fact that you're on the ice and you share the same locker room.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like teaching cricket or something. So, so when you're able to learn from the goalie instructor who's teaching the goalie, you're just listening in about how they move, what angle they should be on. Then you start figuring out ways that you could start scoring on them and how to beat them and whatever. So yeah, I think teaching is incredibly important. And just as you said, everything's going online these days. So that's where iTrain's gone. And now we've got an app that's going to be available as well too. So people can purchase the app or they can purchase a membership. And then they have all of this access to all of these videos. And so hockey knowledge, player skills, coaches' practice plans, even if like off-ice plans for both kids and adults and anyone that wants to be more athletically specific, hockey specific athletes. And then the other thing that we're doing now is even player skills, like individual. Like imagine if you go to the gym and it's like I need a workout plan. What should I do? And so you follow the workout plan. And so we're doing the same thing now with so many outdoor rinks being available and synthetic ice boards and such. So now we're just offering individual practice plans to players so that you could follow this and it's going to get you better at this and this and this skill. And I think if you know anything about hockey and you can teach it, then I think everyone should be, teaching online and recording themselves. There's nothing simpler than having a phone and setting up a stationary tripod and recording yourself teaching such. If there's stuff that when I think of a bigger picture of what I'm doing, I hope that despite the fact that my demographic is more like beginner level to, I'm sure some pro guys and junior guys would benefit from the teachings that I could teach, but my demographic's always been get you from playing A, AA, or something lower than that to get you to AAA. This is what AAA is all about, and this is how much fun AAA hockey is. And so let me get you there.
Yeah.
And I think if there's anything that anyone can teach to help evolve the game, then look at the way the game has evolved. Just as we were talking about before, like kids are watching YouTube clips, and yes, they're only watching like the quick little highlights of them pulling these miraculous moves and lacrosse moves and shit like that. But also it's creating more awareness of like how to become a more refined, pure hockey player skill. And so I try to teach both the beginner aspect of things like the hockey knowledge and maybe the reason to want to be the best player you can be, but then also getting into pro level techniques on how to be the best player you can be. Yeah. So I think if anyone has any value, they should be putting it out on YouTube as much as they can.
I think the biggest thing there is just getting experience, right? If you're 13, 14, that's how you did it. Yeah. So I did it. You get experience, you learn techniques, you learn how to teach and how to be a better teacher. I think it's huge. I had a buddy in college when we started this whole hockey school thing. So he played at college, NCAA Division I player. I was teaching him how I teach skating and whatever. So I was going through it with him. And after a couple of weeks of teaching and going through hockey schools and stuff, he comes over to me. He's a good buddy of mine. He's like, Blazer, like I would have been a way better player if I had started teaching when I was younger. Cause like already he's like, I'm a better skater, like just by teaching it. Not that it was like super noticeable, but he's like, I think of everything I'm doing now when I'm skating myself. Yeah. Whereas before I didn't, I just like skated up the ice, down the ice, and I'm sure you're the same. Like if you go for a rip on an outdoor rink and skate around, I'm sure like you're thinking a lot about what you're doing or how your feet are landing. And that's just instinctive in your brain. It is in mine. Yeah. And that's one of those things we talked about earlier where when you do a private lesson or you do a team session, think of those key points that this instructor is telling you and try to use them and try to implement them and try to keep them in your head. So you can, even if you say 10 and that kid sticks 5 and he thinks of 5, that's fine. Yeah. Then hopefully the next time he gets 7 or 8 and then it, builds up. But
do you ever watch like an NHL game that someone pulls a move and then you like maybe close your eyes and like try to figure out how would I do that? And then, okay, how would I teach that? Okay, here's what you do with this.
Every day, like
I love slow-mo.
Everything.
Like, everything.
For sure. But I think like that's what keeps the game evolving is these guys, some of these guys just do stuff like, and if you ask them how they did it, they're like, no idea.
Yeah, right.
That just happened.
Just reactionary.
But then guys like you or I look at him, we're like, hey man, he had his hands out here, he pulled the puck through his feet.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you break it down on digestible pieces that you can teach and kind of, 3 or 4 different points and make that skill, and this is how you work on it. So you practice it. And then these young kids, like if I look at young kids right now at like 7, 8, 9, 10, they are light years ahead of what I was at 7, 8, 9, 10. It's crazy how much better these kids are.
Yeah.
Insane.
Right. Yeah. 7-year-olds are pulling toe drags.
Yeah. It's so much better. It's good. I think it's great.
I think we're onto something. So I haven't actually had this thought or formulated this thought, but as you're speaking, I'm thinking about it. So like 4 key components, if there's like on ice training to become the best player you could be, on ice training, off ice training, those 2 obviously, rest and recovery and nutrition and all of those things are super, super important. Getting enough sleep. And even I know a lot of guys that are meditating these days to get like deep physiological rest. Also expanding awareness perspective so that when you're on the ice, you're not seeing this, but you're now seeing like this. And I think those are all incredibly important. But then imagine if you throw in like that 5th element of seeing a completely different side of things where now you're not just doing, but you're seeing like it's just like seeing a new part of a new limb. And if you're teaching the game, you just have a new perspective on how to be even better. Like I'm sure, like if I knew what I know now, obviously everyone says that about everything.
It's crazy.
But are you kidding me? I could.
Not even that. Not even if you knew, just if you had a guy like you around you that could help you, right?
Yes.
And I think as you get into like your demographic is kind of perfect. And I noticed that with what we do is the demographics kind of like that dad is 35 to 40 that wants to help his kid out, or those coaches that want to get better, or some of the kids that want to get better. When you get up to the elite guys, like the AHL, NHL guys, they want a personal trainer. They want that hands on. They're not going to watch a video to get better at a snapshot. They want because the room for error there is so small, or the room for improvement is so small. They're like, for instance, one of the things I catch with guys all the time is they're coming in the zone as a pro guy and they receive a pass with their hands tight. And then when they accept it, they get it, drop their hands, shoot.
Right.
So I'm like, well, you're wasting time. So come in, set already, catch, shoot right away. And then you're not wasting that half second on that drop. And guys will go, okay, whatever. Then I'll video them. And I'll be like, okay, check this out. Like, I had no idea I was doing that. Okay, now try without. Well, it feels really weird. I'm like, yeah, I know. And then they get it and they get it and they get it. Well, that's like something that most people wouldn't catch. Right.
Subtleties.
You never see it on TV really, unless you're really looking for it. But you catch it, you show it to them. They're like, man, that feels way better. Now they're getting pucks off quicker. Right. Because everything like at the NHL level with guys, if they can't let that puck go that second, that D sticks in the way. Yeah. That goalie's set. So it's one of those things, I think, as you get up to like more elite AAA kids or more elite junior kids, they need more of that, I think, hands-on. They need that on ice with you or on ice with the coach, where that coach is going to be like, no, you got to do it this way, or you got to try this or try that. And like the videos are great because they'll pick stuff up on the videos, for, like on just random skill videos for sure. Yeah. But then
to get to that next
they
level.
Want constant feedback. Like they want to be told like, no, that was a bad rep. You got to do it this way. You got to hit this part of your blade. You got to, they want that.
Yeah. There's nothing better. Yeah. Like if I had a private lesson and just watching someone shoot, just like, here's a pile of pucks and I'm just going to look at you shoot. Okay, do that. And I'll add some feedback. Okay, look at it from a different angle. Yeah. Or if sometimes recently a lot of people are sending like remote coaching videos. So they just send me a video of their shot. And I say, okay, give me a few angles before you send me the videos. And just within a couple of reps, I can say, okay, this, okay, second rep, notice this, and like these little subtle details. But yeah, you're so right. Like, imagine like being able to refine the game so much.
Those are great though, because like I find with the minor hockey, there's so many things to improve. Like with some of those shots you see, you're like, oh, where do I start? Because everything's wrong, which is totally fine. Because that kid's going to get better through that, which is amazing. Like, and I think it's those kind of tools to me are awesome, because to get a private lesson with ice and instruction costs, you're looking at $200, $300, $400 depending, right? Mm-hmm. It's a lot of money. Whereas maybe they can send a video in for like a fraction of that money and get it edited, get it feedback for specifically them.
Right.
And then that is huge. Like, I think that's great. I think it's, I think that's the way we're going for sure. And even pro guys would be more into that kind of stuff. Like, hey, like I'll send my skating video in, tell me what you think, you know?
Yeah. Obviously there's nothing better than in person for sure.
Yeah.
Private. Just look at me as I do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. There's nothing better.
And I mean, you know, as well as I do, like, you said earlier, like I love one-on-one lessons, especially with like a higher end kid who really like you can in that hour you can just hammer that kid and give him so much good advice and
it's just nice even connecting.
Yeah, and I think it's a confidence boost for some of these kids too. Just it's all about them. Right. It's they're feeling like they're getting better. You know, they're improving. Yeah, and I think that's huge too, just for their overall game.
Imagine like having a private lesson and then going into your next game. Like it's got to be empowering. Yeah, you know, like my shot's that much quicker. I know it is. You know, I've seen it. And so now I'm going to start applying that. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll leave you with a couple of quick questions. Yeah. So if you were talking to any kid right now, let's say our midget age, so let's say 13, band of midget, 13, 14, 15, what would you say are the key skills that you see that kids are underdeveloped in right now? So any skills that kind of like pop at you that you think like, these are skills that you think that would definitely translate at that next level, kind of looking at, you know, you got to really make sure that these are nailed down. Could be broad, could be tight, could be, doesn't matter what.
That's such a great question. And I'm trying to think, I'm not sure how to answer it, but because there's so many different styles of hockey players, like Patrick Kane's completely different than Zdeno Chara, that everyone has the ability to develop their own unique style of play and how they want to play the game. And I think it's really important that they can idolize any players and mimic their styles. You can take Gretzky's game awareness and Ovechkin's shot and Pavel Bure's speed or whatever. And, you know, you can start mimicking their styles. But I think it's so important that you just got to make, once you have benefited from that, then start making the game your own and start making those skills your own. So I think it's important to develop all skills. There's not one that's like more important than others, but keep in mind, the game just keeps getting faster and faster. So at one point, you're going to be able to, the game will have gotten as fast as what human physiology will allow you to get to.
But that's when we become robots. It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be blurs on the TV. It's going to be sick.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's the next stage? And I've been researching meditation and developing higher states of consciousness for like a long time now. And I'm pretty certain that that's like the next stage. It's just like if in order to have, just as I was talking about before, have a wider perspective, both of the game, but also your own abilities, then I think getting enough rest, reducing stress, eating incredibly healthy, having great social connections with your hockey friends, and having like this is so refreshing because especially with us having being in the same field. I've had quick conversations with other hockey trainers, but not one that's like, this is very refreshing.
Well, I love just like, same lingo, and I like nerding out on hockey. Some people will turn this off in a minute because like, oh my God. But I enjoy this. If we get a chance to talk to their skills guys. Yeah. And like I was saying earlier off camera, but there's no secret sauce. I have no secret sauce. I don't feel like you do. It's like, I'm willing to share anything. I love it. And I want to hear what you have to say. I'll learn stuff from this. Hopefully you do. And it's more of just like having a conversation with a guy in the same field or a girl in the same field. But being able to like nerd out on hockey, which I love, right? And especially the skill side of it. I think but like to your point, I think I agree with you. I think identifying what type of player you are, I think is huge. And even at young ages, like maybe you are a bit of a grinder, and that's okay. Yeah. And you can always expand that box and become a scorer, but start there and then be the best that you can at that. And then just keep building out, I think is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Your question is great. Another thing that I think about is every time that I'm like, if I have time to myself before a lesson, just be out on the rink, and I'll still play men's league once in a while, once a week. And there's like this one shot that I'm like, damn, like I missed that shot. And the only thing that was open was literally top right corner or bottom block or something like that. So I'll just stand in the exact same spot of where I was and take stationary shots and like get it down. And then, okay, now I'm going to start doing it slowly in motion and get to that same spot and then take the shot and keep getting better and better, and small little subtle like corrections if I need to. And then, okay, now I'm going to do it at game speed. Yeah. And if you're doing that with just your shot, okay, I missed that shot. I know Stamkos used to do this all the time. I missed that shot. So he goes into practice and he practices that shot for hours on end.
Yeah.
And then imagine if you were doing that, refining your strides so much so that you get your hips nice and low. It's so powerful. You're adding that level of explosive quickness. Your arms are fluid and everything's just perfect.
Yeah.
Then I think, there's just so much benefit to all the little subtle details. So I think,
sure.
there's no one particular skill because of all of the different styles of play.
Yeah.
But keeping in mind the game's getting so much faster, so speed and skating is
definitely going to
so
probably be at the
important.
top of it. But
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Listen, buddy, I really appreciate you letting me in your home and allow me to steal some stuff on my way out. You don't mind?
You take the hat, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. This is great. So thanks
really
a lot. And
appreciate
best of luck with iTrain Hockey. And I'm sure anyone who wants to find it's pretty easy. Just type in hockey and a bunch of videos will pop up. So it's all good. Thanks a lot, buddy.
All right. Thanks a lot, Twain.
Take care.
Pleasure.
Yeah.